Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to, we hope, make a whole load of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today. We have the S&P hitting all-time highs again. Nvidia breaks $200. Layoffs are increasing around the US economy, though. So we want to touch base there. We want to talk about Trump Media planning to launch a prediction market platform called Truth Predict, capitalizing on yet another new innovation, the Trump family and the administration in some way. And finally, Monad reveals user allocations of Mon in a 3-day box opening experience. We'll talk about Monad's valuation and their kind of 3-day experience of getting users onboarded with some token allocations. We've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs and discussion on general activity across the market. So stay tuned for that. I've got Legendary and Bread in the co-host seat with me today. We're ready to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice, unfortunately. We don't know anything for sure. Please do proceed with caution at all times and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, it's Wednesday. It's the 29th of October. Bread, how are you doing and how are you feeling?
I love how you just hammer me so they get my attention.
I just think you weren't expecting that one. I just think you weren't expecting that one.
We were easing into it. Things are good. You don't know this. I didn't tell you guys. It's 4 a.m. here. That's normal for me. But I actually woke up at 2 a.m. and I said, you know what? I'm feeling it. You guys may have seen me on the timeline a little bit. I went to the gym.
You're the juice at the moment.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of a gym session, so feeling good, ready to go for the day.
Wait, you went to the gym before this?
3 a.m. Yes.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. I realized I was just making a lot of excuses. Like my days are really busy and I keep like pushing stuff and then my dog's up and everything. I gotta walk the dog and I gotta go out eat. I gotta get food for the girl because she's working late and I want to be nice. And like I'm doing all these things and I always just like, oh, I'll do gym tomorrow. So I was just laying in bed and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Today, right now. I have energy.
No better time than the present. You don't need to convince me. I'm a morning gym person. If it doesn't happen for me in the morning, then it's very, very unlikely to happen. So I guess it's just like the time that you wake up. But to be fair, if 4 is when you start work and it doesn't happen for you unless you do it before work, then 3 a.m. makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I realized? Like I'm living in this new time zone for about a year, and it's like I don't have my morning anymore. I haven't had a morning in forever. I wake up at 4 a.m. for this, and I'm immediately having to work. Or if I delay it, I sleep in till 6. I'm immediately on a team call at 6 a.m. So like that is the latest I can sleep in, and I literally do not have like a ease into the morning phase. So it's just like I just need to pull my morning forward. Like I just need to stop bitching and like actually give myself that hour, go to sleep earlier, and like just deal with it. So I think I'd be better that way.
Love it. People like it. You report in the comments. Bread commitment is amazing. English.
Yeah.
Before noon or nothing.
So and look, my heart is already telling me I'm fucking up. So like
English says before noon or nothing. I'd go further. Before 8 a.m. or nothing. If it's not done before 8 a.m., as you said, like it depends when you start work. Once I start work, it's very, very hard for me to get going. Coach has already been in the gym as well. Good stuff.
Love it.
Get it going,
Love
guys. Good stuff. Nice. Legendary, how you feeling about that? How's your exercise routines going?
Before 9 a.m. or nothing. I get up at 6:30, latest 7 a.m. these days. So I have time to ease into the morning, get a coffee going. My gym's like a 3-minute walk from where I live. But if I don't do it by 9 a.m., if I'm not essentially if I'm not back home by 9 a.m., I'm not going to go. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go straight after the show. Then I have a couple calls. Then it's getting 4 or 5. I'm like, nah, the gym is too crowded. Let's go tomorrow. So it's tomorrow or nothing. It's in the morning or nothing.
I don't like being anywhere when there's a lot of people there, basically. Yeah. And if you go later in the day, more people are awake. You have to do things when people are asleep, I think.
Yes and no. Like whenever you like, so I did like powerlifting for a long time, and like sometimes you like to try to impress people. So like I know ego lifting is not a good thing, but like there is. Well, a little bit, yeah. Like because I was always pushing myself, and like I never went and did competitions or meets or stuff, but I was always doing something for myself, and like I know there is an actual psychological component to that. I think they did a study where it's like if there's a girl that you're attracted to, or if there's like a significant other, so, like you actually do lift more, like the adrenaline's pumping, like you actually like the oomph is there to make you drive a little harder.
I see what you
So
mean.
like there's a psychological component to it too.
Okay. Meanwhile, whilst we're talking about how to impress people in the gym, Daryl in the Twitter comments, looking forward to the core content of today's show, saying, we'll be keen to hear you guys discuss on macroeconomics in the US. I think we are seeing higher unemployment rates and what's triggering the pump. Liquidity is tightening up and loan spreads are widening. We've got an interesting show today. We're talking around the houses a little bit to start off, but as usual, we're going to get into it in just a moment. Did note it feels a little bit quieter in general last couple of days. And Brett, I asked an interesting question yesterday to Legendary. I'd be curious for your thoughts. We were joking about it being a bear market like a week or two ago or something as things quietened down. But I was like, look, save for Mega ETH. If it wasn't for Mega ETH, which has kind of injected a bit of energy and excitement, with the pre-sale at an attractive valuation, what would I be doing now? What would I be interested in? What would I be like looking to allocate towards? And I feel like, you kind of got the attention of the space at the moment. And if it wasn't for that, it would be far less optimistic in the short term, like towards the end of the year. What do you think?
I actually just saw a post. I didn't get a chance to fully read it, but the headline from DeFi Ignis, he's a big thread writer on DeFi and stuff. And he said, yeah, after Mega ETH and Monet, I'm going to go back to just like normal farming, degen, like DeFi stuff. He's like back to just like maintenance mode, I guess it would be for his side from his perspective. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, here it is. I actually didn't read the rest of it, but same thing. It's just like, and even myself, like I'm looking at, Stables doing a second round of the ICO stuff next week. It's like a little bit of an ICO season, I would say. Like Yield Basis did something. Stables talking about a phase 2. Yeah, but I don't know that I want to do it after like the shystiness that happened with the first round. It's like, it doesn't feel great. Like it's an obvious opportunity for me. And I need to read more into it. But like with Yield Basis, with Flying Tulip, with now Mega, and I actually know there is going to be another ICO announced probably in the next like week or two. That's actually going to be probably pretty good. Good thing to get into. Like we'll report on when it drops, but I don't want to front run the team. So whenever that drops, I actually probably will participate in that if I'm allowed to. Yeah,
interesting.
So there's more to come, and it's not far away.
One thing, okay, that's interesting. One thing I would say is sometimes the space moves in waves. Before we get into like, there can be a huge period of time where you're allocating to kind of public markets. You know how not long ago we did take a bit of a bet and started swinging over the summer. For example, we were going into like things were running liquid in the summer, right? And we decided, okay, yeah, let's take a bit of a swing here. Now it feels like it swung back to demand. You need to allocate to these things that have constricted supply and have excess demand, and therefore it kind of manufactures a positive outcome for those people who participate. And it feels like we're in one of those modes where it's like, I'm feeling like I'm having to like find money from different places in order to allocate both to Mega. There's a couple of other things on the Echo side, which I think if you're involved in just Echo fundraising in general, there's some interesting things going on over there. And you can't be any more specific than that for legal reasons, but it's a strong platform with actually higher and higher quality deals, which I don't know if people are aware of, but you should sign up and at least just, if only to see the deal flow, to seal the deal flow and read it, even if you're not going to allocate to everything, to learn what is out there, I think is important. So I'm feeling like it's one of those moments at the moment where everyone wants to do one of these kind of raises, and I think we need to be a bit selective here. There's a danger, I think, that you go overboard and try to allocate to too many. So Legendary, maybe coming to you and Brad, since you mentioned one that you're thinking of doing and one not, I'll come to you after. The question is, how are you going to be discerning in the next couple of months as everyone sees these ICOs get over allocated and therefore everyone wants to run their own ICO? Ledge, how are you going to be judicious and make sure you don't do all of them? No one has unlimited money, so how are you going to make your decision making?
I think there's two things to look at. The individual project, obviously doing the DD on that and like establishing a hypothesis if you like that or not, but then also general market timing. I said it multiple times that towards the end of the year, is when I look to reassess what risk I want to take, maybe extend that into Q1 of 2026 for new ICOs. And then I'll become very hesitant when it comes to longer lockup periods, unless the deal is a really attractive one, the project is a really interesting one. Because I do expect to see diminishing returns over time from these ICOs. Like probably MetaDAO will be an interesting one to watch. We had 200x over subscriptions and more, which like did a 3x on your capital, but you only got 2% of your allocated capital for Umbra, for example. So just seeing how these returns play out. It's basically like watching the NFT market back in 2021. You mint something, 10x. You mint something, 10x. Then it goes down to 8x, goes down to 2x.
Yep.
And once you get to you mint something and you rush to flip it for a 10% gain, recoup your mint price, then it's maybe stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's an excellent analogy for what will happen with these things, for sure. Brad, what's your decision-making process?
Yeah, honestly, I think I just have a good enough grasp of how projects, like what the position of different projects, and then what is a proper valuation these days. So I'm just gonna do a case by case basis and just say, like, does this feel like an obvious play or not? Like, obviously, if, like I mentioned, the thing that's probably going to come out in the next week or two. If that drops, I don't know the actual valuation of it, but I feel like if it gives me a reasonable valuation, I can pretty easily determine yes or no, and I'll just do it on a case by case. I don't know far enough in the future of like one that's going to drop in a month and a half, and I need to save all my funds. I'm just going to like, you know what, this is an obvious play right now. I will do this thing right now and try to make the best judgment at any given point. But like outside of that, though, honestly, like I have a few plays that I'm on. I'm kind of doing the trader arc again now that I'm back liquid from that Bitcoin position, and mostly just building. Like, it's gonna be a busy month and a half for me. So
of course.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting to hear your perspective. From my side, I think one of the things that's been on my mind is getting a little bit out of the industry, actually, and investing in things that are outside. Months ago, we talked about getting robotics exposure, for example. Legendary, I remember we put out a long post after a call we did in the summer, and you're actually getting some of those opportunities in the private raise market. So I'm looking to. What do you think about this rule? I'm trying to think. For every dollar I put into a robotics company, I want to buy $1 of Tesla on the public market. I was thinking, okay, fine. You're taking a swing on newer companies, but then I don't want to be underexposed to the one that's like right there in front of your face, trading at a huge multiple because they've got one of the best entrepreneurs of ever. So for every dollar I'm going to put into a robotics company, I'm going to buy $1 of Tesla, which I actually don't have a position in because I've always been entirely heavy in crypto. And I just think like getting some exposure to that industry is something I've never had, and I want a proportion of my portfolio in this new thing that's going to be important in the future. In my opinion, it doesn't need to be a huge amount, but aside from the factors which you guys discussed already, which I think were important, like things got to be a good evaluation, things have got to be a strong team, etc. Just trying to get a bit of exposure to something different is important to me. So any final reflections there, boys, before we get into the main stuff?
Yeah, I like that. I did the same with my longevity stuff. Once I started being more interested in that, I was investing companies completely. We're going to touch on NVIDIA today as part of talking about the S&P 500 ripping again, hitting a new all-time high. And they did reveal what they want to do in the future. They have some interesting plans that also obviously go into robotics. So I like to have that thinking, okay, if you want to get exposure to a new segment, to a new sector, in the private market, which is robotics, which is insanely risky to do, obviously, that you also kind of want to match it with something publicly traded, which obviously is still risky. It's single stock picking, but to have a bit of diversification going on there. One more thing on that, since we're talking robotics, and then it's time to get in the show. Did you guys see the 1X robot?
Yeah. Did you? Have you got it up?
Yeah.
Do you want
to? Let me bring it up.
Yeah.
You can have that play as I'm talking. So they are introducing a robot which you can now pre-order in the States, shipping expected for 2026. It's going to be $20K for that thing, plus a $500 monthly subscription. This is Neo, sharing that on screen for people watching on video. And Neo can do work around the house, tidy up, clean, cook even. And the thing is, Neo does that autonomously to the extent that they, I guess, can do it. But there is a remote control. So there is a tech support center. And if Neo doesn't know what to do, then some tech support guy will look through Neo's eyes and remote control him
And come and
control
hoover
them.
your house, basically.
in people's homes, and that's the creepy part. That's like the part where I'm thinking, what if there's like a sociopath tech guy who wakes up Neo in the middle of the night, takes a pillow, and like kills me in my
Snuffs
sleep?
you out.
Yeah, exactly. But I would love
All
a
right,
Neo.
I was gonna be a little less like graphic with that and just be like creepy. Where it's like, yeah, like you imagine like whatever, you're in your bedroom, right? You're in there with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever it is, and you just the doors creaks and you just see a Neo sitting there looking at you. Like, come on.
It's like, no,
like,
Neo. No, Neo. Close the door.
No,
This is not for you.
No customer support service person 47. Like, go back. Like, no, I don't want that person to have access to my house and everything in it. No chance.
Yeah,
I never buy V1s. Never buy V1s. I didn't buy the iPhone V1. I didn't buy the Pixel V1. You got to give it a couple iterations. Let them get the bugs out. That thing's gonna strangle someone.
Yeah, that's fair. But ultimately, I would love to have one. Like, there is
Legendary's like, yeah, I take your points, but I do want one.
Yeah, I take your points, but I want one. So make Europe.
All right. So look, I think that's a really interesting conversation, right? We're gonna be having the privacy conversation endlessly as we both in crypto and in robotics and
does
in
Zcash
AI.
solve this?
Does Zcash
solve it? No.
Does
Zcash solve this?
Probably. Solves everything, doesn't it, from a privacy perspective? Okay, let's get into it, guys, to get you up to speed with everything that's going on in the market today. We'll start with the price action as usual, then we'll hit the headlines and get you the rest of the news too. Starting with starting at the top, we've got Bitcoin down 1% to 113k. Actually dipped a bit more yesterday. Everything dipped a reasonable amount before the FOMC today. Bitcoin down 1% to 113. ETH is down almost 3% back to 4k. XRP is flat, $2.65. BNB is down 1% to 1.1k. Sol is down 1% to 198. Went down, I think, as low as like 192. Hyperliquid is flat, 48. So Hype still pretty strong in the face of the rest of these kind of small sell-offs, up 36% on the week still. And Sui is down 3% at $2.50. Getting into the meme coin side of things, got Doge down a couple of percent, under 20 cents again. Pepe is down a couple of percent. Pengu's down 3%. Bonk's down a couple of percent. SPX is down 5%. WIF is down 3%. Fartcoin is down 10%, back down to 37 cents. Useless is down 3%. Rect is actually up 6%. Well, one of the coins that is going against the meme market today. So that's interesting to see.
18%.
Say again?
Trump is up another 18%, now up 42% on the week. $8.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
That's probably because of the headline, yeah.
Yeah, we spoke about Trump yesterday. Maybe either to do with China being more active there or the prediction market potentially as well, which we're going to be touching on in a moment. Talking about those headlines. Can you imagine
how ridiculous that is? Like, just like, one, it's probably true, but like you tying like, oh, there's global conflict between China and America, therefore
head over to Trump Media and
head over to Trump meme coin and buy this thing because
guess what Trump is going to say in today's meeting with you.
Surely whenever he has this meeting with the head of another nation, the meme coin will come up and that thing needs to get bought. Like, surely. He's just, and then the fact that those two things are even in the same conversation is just like hilarious to me.
And then you have the next segment of people who are like, okay, if Trump is pumping on Trump meeting Xi, what's the beta to that? Melania, and Melania is also up 40%.
I heard Biden was a thing.
Is Biden back? Yeah, it's a strange environment here, especially when you consider the real world implications of the Trump family having a prediction market platform when Trump is in office. And the idea that one of the biggest reasons for prediction markets is like election forecasting, real world events. Like that's clearly one of its biggest USPs, right? And being so influential over those things whilst owning the market itself is quite obviously a conflict of interest in some way. But look, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the S&P hitting all-time highs again as Nvidia breaks $200. Layoffs are increasing around the US economy. I don't know if you found, there was a tweet that I saw. I don't think I shared it, but maybe if you could, there's a ton of layoffs going around on Twitter that was shared. If you do have a look, maybe you've got it already. See if we can go through those when we get to that section. We'll also talk about Monad revealing user allocations of Mon in a 3-day box opening experience, which will continue today and tomorrow. We'll discuss that in relation to Monad's valuation. And some notable price action. Trump's up 14%, Edge is up 22%, Dude is up 14% as well, and some good news. Anything happening in the NFT market, Ledge? Seems like we were bleeding out quite a lot in general in NFTs. Any further thoughts there?
Yeah, NFTs do continue to die. Bored Apes down another percent, 6.5 ETH floor, 6.8 ETH for Pudgies. Azukis did fall under 1 ETH, bounced back, but still at 109. Even worse, by the way, if you check in with the secondary collections, beans are at 0.06. It's like what, $200, $240 for a bean. Elementals also under 0.1 ETH at 0.097 ETH.
Wow.
It's kind of still reinforcing my thinking. A, NFTs don't have a good time right now, and B, in a world where you can buy a liquid ERC20 that's also associated to the project, why would you buy an elemental or a bean right now? Like, if I'm interested in Azuki, I can buy the token, I can get a main Azuki for 1 ETH, a bit less than 1 ETH. Why would you buy like the second or third tier collection? And obviously, like if budget is then a thing, then you still can buy the liquid token. You can buy $20 worth of Azuki if you want that. So
yeah,
unless you want to PFP that thing and be a community member, it's really hard to advocate for the secondary collections right now.
Yeah. I'm thinking an idea I'm playing around with at the moment. I'm not sure. Like usually the NFT market is a lagging indicator in the sense that everything rips, people make a ton of money and they go spend money on a bunch of NFTs. That definitely happened in the summer when CryptoPunks went to like a 200, 250K floor. I wonder now if it's a bit of a leading thing where, or maybe it's actually still lagging because the market, like all of those things have pulled back a lot and they're not coming back when majors go back. So we spoke about this yesterday, how a lot of the altcoins are not going back to their previous levels, even if the majors get back to their previous level. So when Bitcoin gets back to 115, Pengu is not going back to 3 bill. It's still 1.7. And so every move up is lower than the previous one. And I wonder whether the NFT market is just indicating the same thing, like absolute exhaustion, a general decline and appetite for these kind of luxury assets, and maybe foreshadowing a broad, I don't know if it's foreshadowing or whether it's just, following on from the rest of the market. So maybe it's a little bit of both. Well, it can't be both, it's one or the other, but I'm just talking out loud. Ledge, what do you think?
I think it's the same that we see with altcoins. Everything dumps, alts dump, NFTs dump, majors recover, alts don't recover to the same extent. I don't think it's a leading indicator for what is to come. It's just the consolidation into the majors and the maturity of the industry that comes into play with that as well. And the new hot exciting thing is now more on the ICO side again. The pendulum did take a swing in that direction again. So it's hard to make a case for these collections to come back specifically.
Yeah, I think maybe one of the bull cases will be people need to go off and make a ton of money in these ICOs. They need to really work. Although I'm just skeptical that that's where the money goes when people make the money now, because of the 4-year cycle idea. Whether people believe that it's definitely there or not, I don't think. Like myself, I was a perfect example, right? I made a bunch on Plasma, bought a Hypercat, and sold it because like I don't need this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to make a ton of money and buy expensive things. It's too late in the cycle for me to be doing that kind of stuff. So I tried to exercise some discipline.
That's the point, right? Because you're saying that. So the initial thinking is NFTs will go up because people make money in ICOs and we'll take those profits and put them into NFTs, which has the underlying assumption that ICO is profitable. Now, if you think that ICO is profitable, why not participate in that instead? which you did with Plasma. And then you still had the thinking, oh, let me get an NFT because people might rotate into that. Now, like, no, actually, why do I do that? Let me sell it again. And more people will probably arrive to that conclusion. Because if you think the ISO is profitable, then why not participate in there instead of re-hoarding 10, 20 elementals?
Yeah, I want to be in the next one. Okay, getting into the rest of the roundup to get you up to speed. We've got SharpLink Gaming buying another $200 million of ETH to deploy in DeFi on Linnea. You've got Western Union announcing plans to exclusively launch stablecoin on Solana. That's a pretty big win for the Solana ecosystem. Tokenization platform Securitize announced plans to go public via SPAC merger with Cantor Fitzgerald Sept, expecting to raise $469 million. Circle launches testnet for its ARC blockchain. And then finally, a couple of bits of news from around space. Doodles announces Telegram drop in partnership with Universal Monsters. MetaMask announces season 1 of rewards with $30 million of Linnea up for grabs in the next 90 days. And finally, Circle, Coin, Galaxy, and Hood are all live on Ostium now. I believe that is on Perps. So that is the roundup, guys, to get everyone up to speed with what's going on before we get into the main headlines today, where we're going to be talking macro, S&P, layoffs, Trump media, and Monad. What's catching your attention from around the space? Brett, whether you want to go something else, will you give us a bit of an update on the Mega ETH sale, which is taking place at the moment? Where do you want to go with this?
Yeah, that's actually a good. So I was actually checking the numbers. We're up to 740 million. We've got 24 hours left here in an hour. So gonna have a little announcement out. I think it's just like a worthwhile reminder to people. So like the timeline that we have is this thing will stop. If you placed a bid in this auction, whether or not you get allocation or not, if you place at least the minimum bid, which is that 2650, you will be eligible. It makes you eligible for what will be the mainnet campaign. So like whenever that stuff is launched, like once mainnet launches, we will have a portion of the supply that will be distributed to around 5,000 people, and the top 5,000 get that supply. Plus, we're also going to likely give the remainder of the fluffles to those people. So there's 5K of those too. So just like reminder, even if you don't know if you were going to get in for this, it's probably worthwhile to participate for that reason alone. It'll just like whitelist your wallet, and then you can go and play and get like additional allocation there. And it's not exclusive to only these people. If you participated in the fluffles, if you also were an Echo investor, those addresses are also going to be eligible for that same campaign. So it's all people that have been like have established ownership effectively in Mega.
Got it. So people who have established ownership or have attempted to establish ownership.
Correct.
By participating in this. So
okay,
that's very interesting. That's good.
So that, and then the other thing was I saw the Ostium news. Did you guys see the hype wick on Lighter and the conversation around that? I didn't dig into like what actually caused it. So for you, Legendary, if you didn't see it on Lighter, hype for like 20 minutes spiked up to like $100-something, and then all the way back down to whatever. And I don't recall what the exact, I didn't dig in to see what the exact issue was, but then, the Lighter team went back and basically deleted the wick. So now you don't even see it on the chart anymore. Like it actually did it. So, but a lot of people got liquidated. Some people got ADL'd, like it was all fucked up. So it was a whole thing. And then there was a space the other night on Sunday, actually with Eddie, of the Lighter team, the Ostium team, and then Eddie and a few other people kind of just talking about this conversation around, can you actually build equity perps? And then Trade XYZ obviously came up on Hyperliquid because that's starting to gain traction. You called out some of these equities here, and that's what Ostium's entire market position is. They've been trying to create perps positions, or perps vehicles for equities specifically and it's an Arbitrum perp exchange. It's just liquidity is not exactly there. So I think it had like $50 million total in TVL as opposed to, several $1 billion on Hyperliquid. So Hyperliquid is coming from the other direction where they have the TVL, they have the users, they have everything. And now they're adding equities, whereas Ostium has been trying to do equities for a long time. I just don't know what the unique underlying mechanics are. I went and played around on the actual app itself, but haven't done anything meaningful on there. I'll probably just stay on Hyperliquid if I'm being honest.
Interesting. Ostium is actually one that I want to play around with. Like they do have some commodities and things which are not as readily available elsewhere. So it's been on my list of things to want to try out. I just haven't really got around to it. As you say, Hyperliquid's just so convenient, so comfortable now that it's captured our attention and capital. So requires a bit of a lift to move over.
I
Let's you
have
have
a
a few.
goalpost from DCF on Derive and the options over there, like getting a little stickier. I still think we should probably we need to dedicate some time to actually doing that. I think there's probably it's underlooked for sure right now. Everyone is looking at perps. It's the big meta. I want to give attention to options. I just haven't. So I think we should give it some energy.
I feel like, yeah, the smart thing to do would be to look where other people are not, right? And fair enough, it's a bit harder, but that's the whole point. Like, if you're smart, ideally, you should be able to figure it out and not just go for the easy option. So definitely agree with you there. Les, you have a view on Lighter versus Ostium versus Hype at the moment? Do you have, are you allocating any more time to one over the other versus the other?
I've been speaking more to Ostium. That more was a result of this coincidence of me having posted their LiDAR, which went viral, which was the one that said nobody's an atheist at 50x leverage. That got 800,000 views and kind of got me chatting with the team. And ever since I've been exploring them more, I had this gut feeling back in the day, and by that I mean like maybe start of the year. And everyone was talking Hyperliquid, and I was like, maybe take a look at LiDAR. And there was like not any real interest to do that. And I'm kind of having the same gut feeling on the one hand with Derive, who did reach out to us after we spoke about them on the show, by the way. And the same with Ostium. So I do want to take a closer look at these things, but I also need to put some capital to work around the trade XYZ, the unit Hyperliquid based trading stuff. They have, what is it? Do you know the name? The XYZ 100, X100?
Yeah, XYZ 100.
Yeah. That's the one where I also want to allocate a bit to, just to have some exposure to that as well.
Okay. So I think that is a positive response to all those things, frankly. Like, yes, we want to take a look at Ostium. Yes, we want to do a bit more on Lighter. And yes, we want to do more on Trade XYZ, which, by the way, you can access from the Hyperliquid front end now. You don't need to have $5 million of volume to go on to Trade.xyz. You could just do it in the HIP3 tab on Hyperliquid. So
I'm doing some. I'm gonna like tease something here. So like, there's something that I like. It's not released yet. It's from Mega. We're talking about something very similar from a team that is exceptionally well positioned to tackle this vertical. And actually, Shoku, the person, like, I'll just say, like, Shoku and Jeff were both trying to get these people to come to build on Hyperliquid in a privileged position, and they chose to build on Mega. Not released yet. Very big, very established. We will not released yet. No one knows who they are. We will be talking about them next few weeks.
Exciting stuff. That makes me excited for participating on Mega beyond, the preset. As you said, there's like ongoing campaigns, ongoing rewards, ongoing, things to do post sale when mainnet goes live. So excited to hear more about that when you're ready. Okay. So, all right, that's all the stuff we were kind of interested in. That's a nice little roundup. What about the main headlines then? So we have said the main things that we're going to look at today is S&P's at all-time high again. So what do we need to know here? S&P's hit all-time again. Nvidia's gone over 200, but layoffs are increasing around the economy. Like, what do we need to know here, and what's your view?
Quite a few data points you already pointed out. So let's take a look. S&P 500 did go as high as 6,900 points. It's at 890 at the moment. The pre-market is looking good, especially so on the Nasdaq side of things, where it's up 50 bips. S&P is up 30 bips. That is to do with the expectation there is for earnings for the Max 7. That is Alphabet, Meta Platforms, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, who will all report today and tomorrow. Obviously, after the show later today, we'll also see Powell's address to the US plus rate cut very certainly coming in as well. And then you also spoke to NVIDIA, which is getting very close to hitting 5 trillion market cap, which is crazy, which is significantly large. I mean, it already was larger than the entire crypto market cap, but that gap seems to increase even further. And they had announced some plans, or their plans, the roadmap yesterday, which the market quite liked because Nvidia was up 5% on the day. So what are they looking into? What are they looking to do? I'm just going to quote some of the things from this article on CNN, which I'm sharing on screen. They are building gigantic AI data centers, unsurprisingly, calling them AI factories. That is the one thing. That's the unsurprising thing, I would say. But there's a couple more things that also came from that. A partnership with T-Mobile and Nokia to build AI native 6G cell phone towers, so next gen of wireless technology, which is going to use an NVIDIA product, the Aerial RAN computer for that. It's both chip and software. That is one thing. Then the next thing is they're also helping to build, or planning to help to build 100,000 self-driving cars in partnership with Uber in 2027. They are also providing Palantir, great stock performance on that side as well, with compute power and AI as well. And they also partnered up with Siemens, the German company, to release a technology to make digital twins of robotic factories. And obviously they have, Trump's here, they have a partnership with the US Department of Energy to build 7 new quantum supercomputers with NVIDIA chips. So basically all the things to do with AI, with robotics, with quantum compute, where they had a separate announcement on a quantum XAI technology as well. NVIDIA is at the forefront of it, is investing billions into other relevant companies, is providing everyone with compute power, and has the support of the US government. They have this strong narrative pushing for American tech leadership, bringing production back into the States, bringing AI capability back into the States. And these are like some of the segments and industries that they're working in. And as I said, the stock market did like that quite a lot. Now, the other thing to look at, which you also had mentioned, is the layoff side of things. So we've seen over the last days or so, you shared an article, I have one to share as well. Companies announcing major layoffs and or hiring freezes. That is, includes Amazon, which announced initially to cut 14,000 jobs. I think they extended to 35,000 jobs, which is roughly 10% of the workforce. UPS announcing 48,000 employees to be laid off. That is 14K in management positions, 34,000 in ops roles. General Motors, Target, Sika, Applied Materials also to lay off 4% of the workforce. So we do see that across many, many companies, especially over, this is just data from the last week. That's like just data from October 23rd to today. You had another article that goes throughout the year that shows many, many more companies laying off thousands of employees. I do wonder how much of that is to do with macroeconomic conditions, and how much of that is to do with just AI implementation making certain roles obsolete, redundant already. I think it was PricewaterhouseCoopers, not EY, who said they're going to lay off 1.4K of their employees in the US alone. And my thinking is that there's a lot of AI tech that makes things more efficient, but obviously none of these companies are going to headline, yo, we have now implemented this and that AI technology, and for that reason, we let 30,000 people go, because that would not make for good headlines, and that would create a ton of anxiety on the job market side of things.
Look, I'm not an expert on this stuff at all, but I take a really long view of this when you look at this from a historical trend perspective. One of the most compelling ideas I heard recently was this idea that over time, we're basically on a trend where people are needed less. Like That's the trend. Like before, people used to work 6-7 days a week and they were needed for their manual labor was required. Then we did office jobs, and it was like, okay, you only need to work 9 to 5, even if people think that's a big deal. Then it's like, okay, now you can work from home a little bit. Maybe on a Friday you work from home and you do your other stuff. You don't really actually do any work. Then it's like, okay, well, you can work from home 2 or 3 days a week, and you're not even really doing that much work in those periods of time anyway. Save for some jobs which are actually super high agency and super high super demanding. There is a whole cohort or swathe of jobs in the middle which are not where people are not at capacity when they're working in 9 to what people might have traditionally described as Monday to Friday 9 to 5 jobs. And so I think this is just part of a longer trend of people being needed less, whether it's AI that's part of this more latest decline in needing more employment, or whether it was mechanization, robotics, AI, the increase of technology is meaning that we're on this trend, which I guess should be pretty good for companies because they can maximize profitability. It just means that there's all kinds of societal issues that will go around with this, and that's why I'm kind of unsurprised by the rise of maybe more left-leaning policies and people in the States and maybe across the world, where as people try to navigate how they're supposed to keep up with the technologists who own the means of production and are accruing wealth at a far faster rate, and the employees, the workers, are increasingly irrelevant and can't participate in the growth of the economy. So yeah, it's a complex picture. Brett, it looked like you wanted to come in here.
Yeah, I'm going to take it a step further and take it to the societal level and like away from just like the raw economics of it, and say that I feel like this will actually kind of return us to a world where humans can actually like have the freedom to not work all day, every day, and actually hopefully with that free time express more creativity, actually do things that are less away from the things that break you down, right? Like human civilization over time has pushed us more and more towards this sedentary, sit in a cube, grind, do this like button clicking work, frankly, or driving a truck or doing whatever, like all of this stuff that we were just not built for. And it's kind of removed some of the human elements of us, right? This all like community aspect. And so I'm hoping that as this stuff actually happens, I think maybe, there is a little bit of wealth. You mentioned the means of production is being centralized into a few hands. Hopefully there is a world where this happens, and because there is so much abundance in what can actually be done, that there is some wealth redistribution, and through that people can just live freely with, I don't know. I think we're going into a world of abundance. I'm hearing scarcity, people are fearing scarcity, where they're talking about there's not going to be any jobs. Everything's going to be taken over by you. What are we going to do? What's going to happen? I'm not going to know what to do. And I think in that world, we just have abundance, and people can just, I choose optimism here. And think that it'll be all right. People would have more free time. And with that free time, they'll return to some things that actually make us human. That's what I'm looking forward to.
They'll just need to be funded. Go on, Ledge.
Yeah, they need to be funded. This works in a world with universal basic income. I'll offer another take, which is one that I also shared on Funky Friday with Funky, obviously. By the way, Funky and Oxy have both his hand up, and we're going to go to them after that. And that was coming from Harari in his book Homo Deus. He was making the argument that our entire political system across the globe has been built around a party. Obviously multi-party systems, but there's always a party that is there to make the lives of the workers better, be it the Labour Party, be it called a different way in other countries. And a lot of purpose is derived from working, and a lot of the political foundation comes from the fact that you have a more entrepreneurial friendly party and then the Labour Party, and they hash things out, and life as a worker is getting better over the generation, over the years and decades. And the political system is not built for a party that just tells you, hey, you're obsolete, go out, be yourself, enjoy your free time. That the system doesn't work like that. And this is where Harari thinks that a ton of tension and unrest could stem from. But I like Brett's optimistic view way more than that, but I just wanted to offer another take.
I like it. Yeah, I'm not optimistic on that front. I think people need to work, is my personal view. I mean, look at us.
I don't think they need to
What
work.
are we
I
going
think
to
they
do?
need to have
What are we gonna
purpose.
do?
They can have, you can have purpose in things that aren't work. Like that's my belief. So like,
Yeah,
like it can even still be isolationist. I can be in my house doing things that are a creative endeavor instead of literally clicking a button because I have to click a button, or flipping burgers. Like, and you can, like, people have been trying to find passion in these things because they have to do them. So like, I'm the best burger flipper, but they don't fucking want to flip burgers, man. So if we can have a world where that lower bound is replaced by robots and shit, trucks are being driven by robots, sure. And like, you can have the people that just want to like drive trucks because they love driving trucks, bro, go drive a truck. Like, you can do that at your own free will, and you can be as creative, fun, whatever it is you want. And then everyone else is free to do, like, explore their passions. I don't know. You can't squeeze the optimism out of me, bro.
Good. Need someone to maintain it. Okay, a couple of other views from around the space, maybe with some considerations on the market itself, as we got a little bit philosophical there. Funky, welcome to the stage, Roman. What's your view here? How does this affect the market?
GM boys, first and foremost, I'm going to be with Teddy Bear Bread on the optimism side. I feel like that there's sometimes, yes, I understand that people need to work and, you know, find purpose, but I think Bread's right. I think people will find purpose in their own endeavors when given the freedom to do whatever they want. But I also agree with Legendary, and I've read the book, and we talked about this in that chat on Funky Fridays. Like, we also enjoy strife a great deal, right? Like, there's something about human condition that requires us being combative. But all that aside, originally just talking about, you know, the layoffs and everything else, and I think you're right about the headlines, you know, companies continue to crush it when it comes to earnings. Like, there hasn't been really a disappointing earnings season for most of the big companies for many quarters at this point. So I don't see that trend stopping anytime soon. And I dropped it in the Modern Market chat because people were asking, I think Daryl Tanky was saying, like, how are we still pumping? And Julian Bittrell from Real Vision had a great take that was just published 20 minutes ago about sort of the global macro liquidity, why things are drying up a little right now with the government shutdown. So that's worth reading, just to kind of get some of the bigger picture.
Okay, thank you very much, Funky. Appreciate the thoughts. Oxy, welcome to the stage, Roman. What's your take on this broader conversation on the markets continuing to perform exceptionally well despite some, you know, negative externalities?
Yeah, kind of going back to the idea that that, you know, efficiency, like production and efficiency, I think continually increasing and becoming more efficient. In theory, this should cause products and everything to decrease in cost to the end consumer. So, like, you know, you used to produce things by hand or whatever. As you bring in machinery or what have you, things should, in theory, start beginning to get less expensive. And Jeff Booth has a really interesting theory on this. He's like a Bitcoin maxi guy, but ultimately that's not the case. That's not what's happening. So going back to like the AI side of things, in theory, if we keep, you know, moving towards this AI, everything's becoming more efficient. The only way that could possibly work down the line, in my opinion, is like, you know, cost has to continually come down outside of energy. Energy is the only thing that's constant. So I don't know, just speaking to your guys' points on, as things become more efficient, quote unquote, efficient with AI, and people have to work less, unless cost comes down, which it isn't because, you know, fiat continues to be debased, something has to change there. So I think it's bullish crypto in general, or Bitcoin, I guess, specifically, just because energy is the underlying, you know, form of quote unquote currency there. But I don't know. Jeff Booth is a guy that speaks really, really eloquently to this whole thesis, and I think we should all take a look at that.
Okay, appreciate the thoughts, Oxy. It's a complicated patchwork of things we're trying to put together here, I think, as we're definitely moving into this kind of newer horizon in some respects. So let's look, we went on for that for quite some time, so we've only got 5 minutes left on the show today. Let's just hit the final 2 headlines to get you up to speed with what you need to know. Brad, you're going to touch on Trump's prediction market first, then I'll touch on Monad.
Yeah, we'll fire through it. So the headline was Trump media plans to launch a prediction market platform called Truth Predict. It is exactly as it sounds. It's Trump Media plus crypto.com, which will create this new product on the Truth social media app. They reference in the actual article about prediction markets eating into the wager platforms. So DraftKings, like that's like part of the motivation for this, which is objectively true. And a lot of that is tax-based. People who are betting are getting taxed at a different rate than people who are predicting. So it's a fun little nuance that is leading to some efficiencies for the bettors. Now, most of it, like that's basically the entire headline, but there was one quote that I thought was funny coming from the representative from the Truth Media, just because I like how they position all this stuff. So here's the pitch for the actual platform. It said, for too long, global elites have closely controlled these markets. With Truth Predict, we're democratizing information, empowering everyday Americans to harness the wisdom of the crowd. It's just so Trumpy to like try to put this like what media elites, global elites have controlled prediction markets to this point? No one, like nothing. So I think it's just kind of a funny sighting for what this is. And they always try to make everything so grandiose. Like, bros, prediction markets are making money, so they're trying to position themselves and get in there and get a little bit of the pie. Good on you. You don't have to put gold on it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. Any view as to the Trump administration's extension? It is not the administration, to be clear. It is the Trump media company. These things are obviously disconnected,
for sure,
separate entities.
Don't buy the Trump media coin on this or the Trump meme coin on this, for sure. Those are separate.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah. So what do we think about this extension, Legendary?
I mean, what can I say to this? Trump came out and said they made more than $1 billion in crypto since Trump's back in office. They are tackling every single sector, which is doing well. Rune Lord in the YouTube comments made the point that soon Trump University is going to get repackaged to make a comeback as Truth University. Maybe I am surprised by the extent of segments and verticals they're dabbling in, but I am not too surprised, I guess.
Bro, it's unreal. Like even the Trump University stuff, like you guys may not be aware of like what was actually going on in America, but like in America, we would have these like little sham universities spin up all over the place. There's like an online college. You can go and do this thing. I don't know if it was prevalent in the UK, but it was just like Phoenix University and like just these, they're not actual things. It's like a watered down thing. You go and you basically get a piece of paper, you pay a bunch of money and they charge exorbitant fees and no one takes it seriously. And that's what the Trump University thing effectively was. You pay money to get a little brochure and whatever and a little certificate at the end. So like my commentary is the same as Legendary's. Like the extent at which they will just slap a Trump or a Truth or whatever on literally everything is impressive. I'll say, dude,
it's entrepreneurial.
I respect the game, bro. Dude, it's unreal.
It's entrepreneurial for sure.
Yeah,
entrepreneurial.
Yeah, well, that's how we'll call it.
Okay, so that's our take there. I guess we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that as it comes around. Maybe the broader point about prediction markets is that they're catching real fire, right? Polymarket and Kalshi at least are doing huge numbers. Myriad coming in as well, doing some decent numbers as well, maybe with slightly less liquidity, but these things are definitely not going away. So building for the future for sure. Final headline of the day is that Monad, the new L1, which is trading around 6 billion, I think 5-6 billion on pre-market, revealed their boxes yesterday for early, Twitter users, people who've participated in their ecosystem, people who are going to be rewarded early as part of their rollout of their own token, which should be coming soon. It was a pretty fun experience. It's a three-day box opening extravaganza, in my words. And crypto Twitter, I think, was broadly grateful for it, although unsurprisingly, many people, despite not doing anything for these free tokens, were unhappy on the final number of tokens that they received. But in general, I think it was a nice rollout. If you got free tokens for not really doing a lot and just being around on crypto Twitter, hanging out, it should be something that is good. And there should be 2 more days of tokens getting rolled out. Question is, boys, from a psychological perspective, got a good number of tokens. I think we all got a similar number, around 100K or so yesterday. Do we go higher? Are they gonna? What's the psychology for day 2 and day 3?
Going higher for sure, but like how much higher is the question, right? Like this amount is already like what I would expect. Like that's good. That's a good amount. I'm happy. Whatever. So like anything on top of this is a nice bonus. And they did put real work into it. Like the actual experience is good. It's nice. You know, it's a whole experience. So I think it's fun.
I agree. Legendary.
The whole space, this whole industry is built around a simple concept, which is called number go higher. Number go lower doesn't make people happy, so number has to go higher.
So the number has to go higher in terms of how many tokens get revealed in your boxes today, and then it has to go higher again tomorrow, and then the token price at which it is trading at should ideally go higher as well, is what you're saying.
I don't know about the token price, which it's trading in the pre-markets, if that's going to go higher. Don't necessarily think that, but I do think that the boxes probably will go higher. It would be a weird design to not make it like that.
I mean, I'm pretty reluctant to long or short anything on pre-markets just because of how illiquid they are and how you've seen people get like completely stopped out for no reason. But I think it would be a reasonable one. When you see the numbers of tokens that people are getting, I wouldn't be surprised if people want to short this because they'll see how many tokens certain people have, and psychologically will make people think that's a lot of sell pressure that is coming for this token. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it trade lower. I don't know if I'll put the trade on myself because I don't like these pre-markets, man. Sometimes you can just get blown out of the water for no reason. Even if your thinking is correct, you just get blown out because they're so liquid. So you've got to be careful of that.
I have a similar hypothesis with Mega. Pre-sale, I think a ton of capital is going to flow in at the end of it.
Very late, and then it's going to pump, you think?
It's the case, and then it's going to pump. But it's just...
But you don't know when to time it.
No, it's just so volatile. It's just, what is it? 8 million open interest, 4 million 24-hour volume. Like, that is a position that's easy to manipulate. So while I think that the pre-market is going to go higher than 4.6 bill tomorrow, I'm just not willing to express that bet because it's too easy to manipulate market on Hyperliquid.
And did you see, even yesterday, even over the last 24, 48 hours on the Mega pre-market, it went from like 4.1 to 4.8, then back to 4.2, then back, and then down again. It's been like fairly, well, I don't know if that would be enough to liquidate people on 3x leverage, but definitely kind of volatile there. So, okay, interesting conversation, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. As usual, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, live on X Video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple and Spotify podcast as well. Thank you to my co-hosts, Legendary and Bread. Thanks to our contributors up top, Oxy and Funky. As always, we hope you have a wonderful day. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Take care. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.